We are tracking storms across Kansas City, Tulsa, and Oklahoma City right now. Some major cities getting hit by some larger hailstones. The picture that you are taking a look at right now is out of Tulsa. In Tulsa, we did see some large hail. However, this picture, one of the smaller hailstones that we saw in Tulsa earlier. So we are seeing some pretty decent sized hailstones across places like Tulsa, Kansas City, and Oklahoma City. So let's take a look at the radar right now. We are watching for those storms to not only be strong and severe, but also have a significant severe potential with it. So we saw storms in Kansas City now producing some pretty decent hail, and we'll QC this and take a look at exactly how large these hail reports have been. So we have seen some hail reports across Kansas City right now. We've got another one coming up I-49 farther down to the southeastern side of Kansas. Let's zoom into the city here and take a look at those hail reports. So right in the middle of Kansas City, we have a hail report of 1 inch in size, about the size of a quarter. However, I can tell you that we have larger hailstones as we go down to the south and into Overland Park. And I started this live stream so quickly here because I wanted to get you this information that I think is very pivotal as we head into the evening hours. But I didn't check my audio levels. So will you guys tell me in the chat, how are my audio levels doing? Can you guys hear me right now? I'm going to assume yes until I hear otherwise. But I told you that we have some larger hailstones reported down at Overland Park and into Lackman's here. So in Lenexa, Kansas, we've got half-dollar size hail reported at 3:48. So that was about 40 minutes ago. As we head farther to the west, still in Lenexa, Kansas, we have golf ball size hail reported just to the north of Lackman's, right on the highway here. Moving to the west a little bit more, another golf ball size hail report. So you can see where the largest hail fell in Kansas City, just to the south of the city itself, in places like Overland Park and Lenexa, Kansas, on the Kansas side of Kansas City. We still have an ongoing severe thunderstorm warning right now, and it's really difficult to point out that warning to you. However, you can see it right here. There's one warning in that box right here. There's another warning in this box right here. Both of these warnings are warned for significant hail sizes. What we're saying here from this is we're talking about hail and high wind speeds, okay? So not only that large hail, which could get up to the size of a quarter, pretty marginal, but also that high wind, 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds for almost 700,000 people, very significant. And we could even see 80-mile-per-hour wind speeds from this storm that's going through Lee's Summit right now. 80-mile-per-hour wind speeds is absolutely impactful, which is why they have this severe thunderstorm warning hatched right there. That's what these black lines are. That's a hatched severe thunderstorm warning because of high wind in this area. So up to 80-mile-per-hour wind speeds anywhere from Pleasant Hill all the way back to Kansas City. Alrighty, moving down to Tulsa now, because I know that we've got some people watching in Tulsa, where we also have a significant severe thunderstorm warning on both the north and the east side of Tulsa. This is moving into the east side of Bartlesville right now. Warned for not only large hail, but also high wind speeds. Hail up to the size of a ping pong ball. 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds as well for almost 90,000 people between Catoosa, Claremore, Owasso, and Skytook. If we go farther down to the south into places like Muskogee and Locust Grove, you can see those hatched lines also between 412 and I-40. Now these storms right here are warned for that high wind and that large hail. So we're talking about 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds here, a very, very impactful storms. These storms are windbags right now, 70, 80-mile-per-hour wind speeds in this area. And we knew that we could see some high wind today, especially whenever storms got all clustered up like this. That's whenever we see the highest wind speeds. It goes from a hail risk to a wind risk very, very quickly. Again, this is moving into the Tahlequah and Pettit area. We are going to continue to see this severe thunderstorm warning progress to the east as we head into the 5 o'clock rush hour. So people are headed home, maybe headed out from Tulsa, going back home, and they are going to run into this high wind warned storm. Again, warned for 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds here. Let's go down to OKC because we have a storm coming into Oklahoma City as well, which seems to have lost a lot of its steam. It is only warned up until Norman. However, I'm very interested to see what is it warned for. Okay, ping pong ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. About 14,000 people impacted by this very small severe thunderstorm warning, small but mighty. And we have a local storm report out in Blanchard for quarter-size hail here. So up to ping pong ball size hail possible as we head into the Moore area, again, during rush hour, during that 5 o'clock evening commute. Now I have some updates on here. I appreciate everyone who said audio is good. Thank you. That's very helpful. We've got some updates out of Kansas City. We've got golf ball size hail out in Overland Park and ping pong ball size hail in Kearney, Kansas. So we appreciate those reports here. We've got a lot going on, a lot of cities getting impacted right now. So all reports are very helpful. Again, what we're watching for here are storms across Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and Kansas City. All of this encompassed in a tornado watch highlighted here in yellow. This watch goes until 9 o'clock tonight, including many people across the U.S., but really anywhere from central Texas down into Dallas, Oklahoma City, eastern side of Oklahoma, the Kansas and Missouri state line, and then all the way up into Omaha, Nebraska. So right along the Nebraska and Iowa state line as well. Many of these storms are warned not only for, of course, that severe potential, but also significantly severe. So let's just do around the radar here, and let's take a look at these storms that produce a line of severe weather from southern Oklahoma all the way up to Kansas City in the northern side of Missouri. So let's start down to the south, and if we want to go to any more specific places, you guys let me know where you're watching from and where you want me to focus on here. But if we start down in the southern portion of Oklahoma, right along the Red River, we're talking about baseball-sized hail down here. Other storm reports that we've gotten so far include baseball-sized hail, baseball, let me rephrase that, golf ball-sized hail. Golf ball-sized hail, 4 miles to the east of Nakona. We've got another, all right, talk about large hail, holy moly. 4.5 inch in size out in St. Joe. This is not Missouri, okay? I know there's a St. Joe, Missouri. This is down near the Oklahoma and Texas state line. 4.5 inches in diameter, 7 miles to the north of St. Joe. Holy moly. That is a massive hailstone. We've got a really nice hailer down by the Oklahoma and Texas state line. Going down into Montague, now I'm very curious, do we have those large hailstones down here as well? Golf ball size hail, 1.75 inches. We've got another golf ball size hail report here and 3 golf ball size hail reports down in Montague, Texas. So let's continue to move to the north. Can anyone beat 4.5 inches? It's going to be pretty hard, right? We do have a tornado warning coming into Ardmore right now. So this hailer that produced those really large hailstones down in Texas is now tornado warned, moving into Marietta and Ardmore, Oklahoma. This tornado warning goes until 5:30, impacting about 30,000 people here. As we move up to the north, because I'm not going to spend too much time on one place in particular, we just have too much to talk about here. I do want to give you guys an update on Oklahoma City. We have another local storm report in Oklahoma City right now that is just outside of Norman to the west of I-35. And that local storm report is quarter-size hail on Highway 76. So this would be in Newcastle, Oklahoma, McLean County, Oklahoma. So we've got reports of quarters. However, this severe thunderstorm warning is warned for Del City, Midwest City, Moore, Oklahoma City, quarter-size hail here. About 700,000 people impacted by this warning. One thing that we saw from a storm like this on Saturday was as it moved farther to the north, it fizzled out. So what are we going to see here? Is this storm going to fizzle out, or is it going to intensify as it heads into the city? We were actually live about a half hour ago warning you all of this severe thunderstorm whenever it was still down to the south. It was It was way out of the city limits. However, we were warning you, it has the track to come up into Oklahoma City, and that's exactly what we saw here. And it is entering the city right now with potential quarter-size hail. Let's continue our track up to the north here. Okay, we've got tornado warnings down in Stringtown, just outside of Ada, Oklahoma. Crossing I-40 now, we've got those significant severe thunderstorm warnings anywhere from Bartlesville to Locust Grove, all the way into Muskogee. And again, these are warned not necessarily for the hail potential. That potential is there. Ping pong ball size hail and 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So we've got both that hail and the wind potential for almost 90,000 people between Catoosa to Claremore to Owasso to Skiatook, Oklahoma. All included in this high wind and large hail threat. If you move down to the south and you go into places like Locust Grove and Muskogee, you're seeing a very similar threat down here as well. Not as much with that hail in this area, but still that high wind remains. And earlier, the high wind potential in here was about 80 miles an hour, so we have seen a little bit of weakening from these storms here from 80 to 70 miles an hour. Let's continue our move up to the north, zooming out and then zooming back in to these storms right along the state line of Kansas and Missouri. So this is to the south of Kansas City. We've got golf ball size hail in this warning near Pittsburgh, Kansas. 2-inch size hail, so it's about the size of a hen egg, about the size of a lime. So these southeastern Kansas storms are definitely ones to watch for hail. These again are moving to the northeast, so that could be something that western Missouri is going to deal with here pretty soon. And we still have a significant severe thunderstorm warning in Kansas City at the moment near 435 the highway here. We're still watching for high wind in this, so extreme wind speeds, about 70 miles an hour. About 750,000 people impacted by this severe thunderstorm warning right now between Gladstone, Kansas City, and Liberty, Kansas. So again, a significant severe thunderstorm warning, and it's not necessarily because of that hail. Now, hail is possible, but it's more for that high wind, 70 miles an hour, a very, very intense storm here. Continuing our radar check here and moving up to the north, it looks like that severe threat stops right around Des Moines, Iowa. So Des Moines, Iowa has seen some hail reports. We've got dime-sized hail right in the center of Des Moines. Quarter-sized hail just on the outside of the city here. Go down to the south. Now, south of Des Moines has been hit many, many times, much more than the city itself this year. Out in New Virginia, we have another report of less than quarter-size hail, and that seems to be the consensus in this area. That hail threat, a lot less impressive up in Iowa, and a lot more impressive down in Kansas and Missouri and Oklahoma. We did get a very isolated golf ball size hail in Clark County just about 40 minutes ago. So it's like these storms had a timeline and they all just blew up at the same time, very, very fast across these states. Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas all have severe warned storms right now. So I gave you a little around the radar, gave you some time to get your questions in here. So let's see if we have any specific questions. A lot of people watching from Omaha right now. Omaha, yes, you guys have storms coming your way. Kansas City getting hit at the moment. Right now, Kansas City is getting hit. And also Tulsa, Oklahoma, especially on the east and north side of Tulsa. That is going to be the most impactful places around the Tulsa metro. So we're talking about places to the east and then places to the north, like the Claremore area. And just a ton of hail reports in this area as well. So let's get our bearings. Let's see what the meteorologists are saying. I can see our meteorologist chat just blowing up here. Obviously, there's a lot going on. Reno saying watching from Muskogee and from Fort Smith, Arkansas, so that area is getting hit right now. High wind in that area will be your biggest threat. We're talking about 70 mile per hour wind speeds, which is significant. Just checking the Met chat, they are saying about the same things that I've shared with you so far. It's just all of these different cities getting hit over and over and over. Tyler is asking, Kansas City for another round later on tonight. Yes, I'm glad that you're thinking in the future, Tyler, not just worried about this storm system right now, but what are we seeing later on tonight? So one thing that we talked about during the noon show today is don't get complacent. You may have a round of storms right now, but you can't get complacent and just stop thinking about those storms. You've got another round later on today. So we've kind of done around the radar here. Why don't we go into the future and look at our future radar? And you asked about Kansas City. I know I have at least one graphic that is Kansas City specific. So give me just a minute. We've got Dallas here. We've got a wide view. But if you watched our noon forecast today, we really did focus on Kansas City quite a bit. I think it may be this graphic right here. So wait for this to load. There you go. There's Kansas City. Okay, so great point, right? Here's your first round of storms. Now, one thing that I initially see from this system right here is that we've got this first round of storms that's going to move to the east, giving you guys a little bit of a break around dinner time. So if you're waiting to go home until, maybe you're still stuck at work and you're waiting to go home until these storms pass, okay, you've got another maybe 30 minutes and then these storms will track to the east if it's not already dry. However, turn back to your west and keep an eye on these storms right now that are forming up in the far northern portion of Kansas. So we're talking about north of the Topeka, in between Topeka and Salina area right here. These are going to continue to track to the east as we head into the evening hours, right? It's sunset, the sun is about to set, and you've got lightning off to your west. Now, these storms will continue to track to the east and into the city as we head into the late night hours. Maybe you're about to sit down, get ready for bed. You've got some high wind with these storms. You've got a low tornado risk, but it's still on the board, so you definitely want to take this very seriously. And then you've also got that existing hail threat in this area. So again, that's for Kansas City. Through the evening hours, great question. I'm glad that we're looking this far in advance, and we're not just talking about now because you can't get complacent with these storms. After one round hits, you may have a second round, you may even have a third round behind you. So in Kansas City, as we head into the late night hours, once again, you get a little bit of a break after 9, 10 o'clock. But you've got another round of storms coming. This model wants to bring storms in by about 2 o'clock in the morning. So once again, you may be woken up to that lightning, that flash of lightning, maybe that rumble of thunder out your window. It looks like storms want to come in right between 2 and 4 o'clock, early on Tuesday morning. And then finally, you get a break early tomorrow morning, so your morning commute should be dry. Great question for Kansas City. What other questions do we have right now? Angela asking, what about Broken Arrow and Tulsa? The storm just passed in Broken Arrow. Here I can zoom right into Broken Arrow. I did get a verified report earlier for storms around 81st and Garnett. That report saying they got hail, but it was not as big as a golf ball. So storms near 81st and Garnett in the Tulsa Broken Arrow area definitely produced hail, however, not as big as a golf ball. But let's zoom down in here. So you're looking at Kansas City right now. Kansas City storms are ongoing, and they are still warned for significant severe thunderstorm characteristics. So what we're watching for here is that high wind, that extreme wind, about 70 miles an hour. More people now included in this warning, up to about 800, almost 900,000 people included in that warning. But we were talking about Broken Arrow, so let's just get right down into it. Too far to the north here. So storms are now to the east of you all, right? Storms are now out to the east in places like Tahlequah, Wagner. But right down into Broken Arrow, we did get a few reports. I told you 81st and Garnett, we got hail, but it was not the size of a golf ball. That seems to be the consensus here. We are seeing 1-inch size hailstones right around 356. Smaller than the size of a quarter, around 358 this afternoon. Another report, smaller than the size of a quarter. So we've got 3/4 inch there. Let's see a few other, let's get closer into Tulsa and the Tulsa Union area and get a few other reports here. Yeah, it seems to be the consensus where a lot of people got hail, but not a ton of reports larger than the size of a quarter. Here's one. You go farther up to the north, closer to the highway, closer to 44 here, and you've got a ping pong ball size hail report. Let's get closer to the highway here. Another 1/4 inch, or the size of a quarter, 1 inch in size. The National Weather Service office off of 11th and Highway 169 reported quarters outside of their office. That was at 4:08, so about 40 minutes ago. So we've got a mixed bag here, but most of these hailstone sizes are the size of a quarter. So we're talking about these 1-inchers, maybe slightly bigger in some places, slightly smaller in other places. Hail size out near the Tulsa city limits, so right around I-44 here, golf ball size hail in this area. So this is right in between Tulsa and Jinx. Jinx, 2-incher out there in Jinx. It looks like hail sizes are a bit bigger on the Jinx side of Tulsa compared to the Broken Arrow side. And we've got one report on Highway 364 here for 1 inch in size. So it really is a mixed bag of things, but it does look like we have a consensus of larger hailstones on the Jinx side of Tulsa than on the Broken Arrow side. Kind of going through some more of these. Here, I'll step out of the way so you can see the hail sizes of other reports out in Tulsa. We've got a golf ball report. Okay, we've got a few golf balls mixed in there. Got a 2-incher also out in Jinx as well. Lots of reports here. As you go up to Claremore, we've got 3/4 inch in Collinsville. A 1-incher out there. Ping pong ball size hail. Let's read that report. Coming from Imping, so that's in Collinsville. And those are the majority of our reports in the Tulsa area. Great question. Thanks for asking. What about Broken Arrow as we head into the late night hours? Let's go back to our future radar. Before I do that, I want to check on this Oklahoma City storm. So we are located in Edmond, Oklahoma, just to the north of Oklahoma City. And I can actually hear, outside of our walls right now, I can hear that it is thundering out there. So we've definitely got some lightning and thunder. However, this storm in Oklahoma City is only warned for quarter-size hail, so about 1 inch in size. Got a lot of people impacted by this storm here. About 700,000 people impacted by the storm. Again, right during rush hour, right? It is 4:55. People are getting off work right now. They're headed home, and they are running right into this storm that is producing quarter-size hailstones. Now, I don't see a ton of ground truth to this right now. But we have, and I'm listening outside my window, I think we're just getting rain right now. 1 inch size hail is our report in Moore, Oklahoma. But you may start to hear it on the mic that we're getting rain outside of my window right now. Alrighty, let's go into Broken Arrow tonight. What are you guys expecting as we head into the next few hours here? Oh yeah, it's really starting to come down now. I can hear it outside of the window right now. Tulsa, here you go. Tulsa at 1 o'clock today, dry, but let's see how this model did. Okay, pretty good. It put storms in Tulsa right around 3:30. I think that was pretty accurate. Continuing to see scattered showers and storms as we head into the 5 o'clock hour. Okay, pretty accurate there. So this model did pretty okay handling these storms that are ending right about now, right? Broken Arrow is dry right now. Tulsa, pretty dry right now as well. These storms are really messy in that area. Whatever storms are left over are going to stay messy and then congeal into a little bit more of a semi-organized line as they head to the east and into Arkansas as we head into the late night hours tonight. And it looks like, other than a few stragglers that we could get back into Tulsa later on into the late night hours, this may be the biggest risk that you guys have. Because after that, these storms are going to be tracking into Arkansas, into Tennessee as we head into the late night hours tonight and overnight hours into tomorrow morning. And I'm going to check a few other models because I do have my computer right in front of me here. So I'm going to check another model to see the timeline for Broken Arrow. Will you guys have any more storms today? Other than a few stragglers. So if those few isolated storms come in to Broken Arrow or Tulsa area, you know, we've been talking about both obviously, then the timeline for that will be late tonight, right here, right around midnight. So what one model, this is the HER model that you see right now, the HRRR. The NAM that I just looked at wants to pull this line of storms up and hit the southern side of Tulsa. So your timeline for a second round will be late tonight into early tomorrow morning. So we're talking about 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. tomorrow. And we could see a line of storms right here once again hit Tulsa all the way down, crossing I-40 and into McAllister. So it's just a difference of models here. I'm not saying that you guys are done with storms. One model wants to leave Tulsa out of the risk for the rest of the night. I would not say that's the case. I would absolutely keep an eye on storms as we go into the next few hours. Yeah, sometimes these models can't handle such a complex system like this. What other questions do we have here? One person asking about Joplin. Joplin, Missouri was definitely an area that we were watching during our noon forecast today and targeting that for a high-risk day for you all. So a very, very impactful day out in Joplin, Missouri. Now you guys are dry right now. However, let's loop this radar so you guys can see the storms that are coming to you. Storms are moving into Joplin over the next hour, maybe even less than that. So storms are moving up to the north and east. So you'll probably get storms that are down in like the Pryor Creek area right now. These will continue to move to the north and east over the next few hours. Now, what we're seeing from these storms at this moment is that high wind risk. So if you go down to like the Colcord area, Tahlequah, we do have a tornado warning now for Colcord, Stillwell, Tahlequah. We have a tornado warning for, that goes until 5:45 this evening. So we've got another 45 minutes left on that tornado warning here. But again, these are the storms that are going to come up to the Joplin area. So Joplin, your timeline, I would say within the next about hour, maybe less than that. These storms are moving very fast. Storm motion right now is, let's see, northeast at 50 miles an hour. So pretty fast moving storm. I'd say normal to fast. Alrighty, what other questions do we have? One person saying Omaha missed everything. Omaha in a tornado watch right now. You've got storms out to the west. However, they don't look like they're coming into Omaha unless they build back farther down to the south. So let's get that on the screen so that you can see it. Yeah, if you could get some more development down to the south. So you see like where these storms are kind of building back to the south in between Stromsburg and David City. As this tracks to the east, maybe that could scrape the northern side of Omaha, but it does look like storms are going to miss you to the north today. So we do have a tornado warning for these storms out in David City right now. Let's take a look at your severe thunderstorm warning and some of these hail reports, because we do have some hail coming down right now. This is warned for ping pong ball sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds in Omaha. You take a look at Columbus, Nebraska, and we have local storm reports for 1-inch size hail. We got a golf ball size hail report out in Richland. Any other decent reports? These are coming in right now. You guys are the first to see these reports right here. They're coming in right now. So we got that golf ball size hail report, and we have another quarter size hail report here. We also have some high wind reports here. High wind at 58 miles an hour, so pretty accurate severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds. And again, this will probably miss Omaha to the north. But we'll keep an eye on it, again, because you guys will probably have several rounds of storms as well. This is just the first round. Jackson saying we had hail in Kansas City. Yeah, your hail in Kansas City was pretty impressive, especially down near Overland Park. What other questions do we have? There's Kansas City. Kansas City still has a significant severe thunderstorm warning. I think that's because of the wind risk here. Yeah, 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds still for the northern and eastern side of Kansas City. We do have some wind reports, so let's zoom right down into this report here. We call these LSRs, local storm reports. And what that is that your city officials, your emergency managers, your fire chief, police chief, even trained weather spotters will either call in or send a DM or in some way communicate with the National Weather Service and say, here's what's happening at the ground. There's half-dollar size hail at the ground in Kearney, Kansas right now, or Kearney, Missouri. Right now, and then the National Weather Service will tell us where they think that report should go, and that is what your local storm report is. Now, the locations of these aren't always the most accurate, but it gets kind of the general point across. We've got a 62-mile-per-hour wind speed reported in Kansas City. 65-mile-per-hour wind speed. This is whenever we start to get into those significant zones. So at 70 mile per hour is whenever we get into that significant severe thunderstorm range. 61-mile-per-hour wind speed out in Kansas City, downtown, really in the heart of the city there. We've got Olathe, Kansas on here now. What report do we have here? A large tree down due to thunderstorm wind gusts in Olathe. This makes me think that we should keep an eye on the power outages. Yes, transformers blown out in Olathe, Kansas. This was about 40 minutes ago at 4:19. So let's see what our last high wind report, 75-mile-per-hour wind speeds. That will absolutely blow a tree down. That could also blow out power transformers. We've got another downed power line in the Belton area due to thunderstorm wind gusts. So no wonder these severe thunderstorms are warned for that high wind up to 70 miles an hour. Now, mainly the biggest area right here, the area most impacted is going to be the Blue Springs, Independence, Kansas City, and Lee's Summit areas, right along I-70 and places to the north. I know Lee's Summit is just to the south of 70 here. So let's check on that makes me think we need to check on your power outages. And I'll share this with you. All right. Let's see, we'll do this. Okay, there's your power outages. So across Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri right now, we do have some pretty decent power outages. Across Oklahoma, the largest area with significant power outages is going to be down in Johnston County, so about 2,600 people without power down there. We've got about 400 without power in Hughes County, about 1,700 in Creek County where Tulsa is, and 1,700 in Muskogee. That's where we had that high wind. Now going back and taking a look at Missouri and Kansas right now, where Kansas City is, you can see that we've got about 9,000 without power in Jackson County, about 3,000 without power in Clay County, and then let's go to the Kansas side of things. We do have more people without power on the Kansas side of Kansas City. Johnson County, 16,000 without power. 400, that's a very important distinction, in Lynn County, and we've just got a few hundred in these other counties that are on the southeastern side of Kansas. So pretty decent amount of people right now without power across Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri. Connie saying Olathe. I think I'm saying it correctly. Olathe, Kansas. Another person asking about Wichita, Kansas. Alrighty, let's. Go to Wichita. Wichita is just at the far northern side of my future radar. I wanted to look ahead into the rest of the evening and see the forecast for Wichita. Alrighty, Wichita, Kansas. So we are watching for storms mainly to the east of you. I think that Wichita was right on the line for severe thunderstorms today. I know that a lot of models wanted to push things to the east. Could we get any storms closer to 35 up anywhere from Oklahoma City to Wichita? If we do, that will be happening in the next few hours. So I think as we head into the evening hours tonight, we're going to get a lower chance of storms coming up into the central portion of Kansas. Most things will be out to the east. However, if we could get maybe an isolated storm or two, maybe we could get something impressive in this area. Other than that, you could see maybe an isolated storm into the overnight hours, but it's a pretty low chance. So the forecast for Wichita right now, don't count out the storms. However, it's going to be a pretty low chance. Most of those storms are going to be to the east of you. But this model wants to bring storms right into Wichita by midnight tonight. Let's check another model here. So this is the HRRR that you're looking at right now. If we look at the NAM, pretty similar setup where it wants to keep things to the east. However, redevelopment later on this evening is absolutely possible. It's going to be a low risk, but an isolated storm risk is absolutely possible in the Wichita area, according to both the HRRR and the NAM. Alrighty. What about Wichita right now? Right now, you're quiet. No storms going on in Wichita right now. You've got one out in Scott City, a little lone storm in the western side of Kansas, not even in a watch. However, it's a pretty significant storm. We've got 2.5-inch size hailstones out in Paxton, Kansas, impacting about 21 people. That's the population that this area covers right here. So large hailstones not impacting too many people. Alrighty, what other questions do we have? Storms are now on the east side of Kansas City. So we have one warning that barely scrapes the northern side of KC here after all of those high winds. First you had a hailer, and then you had just a complete wind bag of a storm, just completely producing some really, really significant high winds up to 70 miles an hour. Kansas City, we do have several local storm reports from some wind damage in this area, or wind impacts. So this is a measurement, 61 mile per hour wind speeds right in the heart of Kansas City. So storms moving out, they're moving to the east. They are moving just right up 35 here, so if you have any travels up 35, you may be running into some storms. Again, they're still warned for 70 mile per hour wind speeds. About 500,000 people still included in this warning, so it's been impacting people for quite some time here. Let's check on that storm down in Oklahoma City, because I don't hear the rain out my window anymore. Where did this thing go? It's in the northern side of OKC right now. Don't see any rain out there. Still warned for, I think, quarter-size hail. 1-inch size hail, the size of a quarter. You know what we can do here? We've got another storm coming our way, it looks like. Is that a brand new warning? What is this warning for? This warning includes Forest Park, Spencer, Jones. We've got reports of 1-inch size hail in this area. Other local storm reports that we've gotten in northern Kansas City include northern Oklahoma City. 1-incher out in Forest Park. If you go down to the south of the city here, you've got 1-inch out in Moore. And some strong winds, so we've got some winds along with that large hailstone, 1-incher out in Moore as well. So I haven't seen anything terribly significant across Oklahoma City. Now, if you go down to the south and east, you have some high winds with these storms out in eastern Oklahoma. So this is just to the east of 35, just south of McAllister. Strong winds here, up to 80 mile per hour wind speeds. So these are very, very significant high winds here, extreme winds out in the Ada, Colgate, Sulphur, Tishomingo areas. Now, what we see oftentimes, and while we expected to have large hail today, and we've absolutely seen that large hail today, as these storms start to cluster all together, we have a lower chance for large hail and a higher risk for high wind speeds. So as that hail risk goes down, oftentimes that wind risk goes up. It's pretty rare that we get both of those risks at the same time. Now, we've seen that today, but it's on the rarer side. We do have a tornado warning right now that is moving to the northeast. Let's zoom right down into this warning here. And because of the organization from this storm in Colgate and Atoka, Oklahoma, We are seeing some larger hailstones from this as well. So this is warned for golf ball size hail and a potential tornado. That goes until 5:30 this evening. Colgate, Tupelo, Wapanucka, $half size hail in this area as well. Again, this severe thunderstorm, this tornado warning goes until 5:30 this evening. And then where did we see the largest hailstones today? That was down in this Nocona area, Bowie area. I hope I'm saying those town names correctly. We saw some massive hail in this area. Let's see if we can find that large hailstone again. It was like 4.5 inches in size. There's a golf ball size hail report. There you go. In St. Joe, Texas, just along the state line between Texas and Oklahoma on the Texas side, a massive hailstone about 4.5 inches in diameter, just 7 miles north of St. Joe, Texas. That is a massive hailstone. So we have seen some really impressive hail today. We knew that hail risk would be there. That wind risk, however, has probably been the most widespread, impactful thing today, because we have not only seen these large hailstones, but also the high wind on top of that. Now, hail in and of itself is dangerous, right? However, you have wind-driven hail that's even more dangerous. So that has definitely been a pretty significant danger that we have seen today in a very widespread area. You know, we talked about that up in Kansas City, on the eastern side of Oklahoma. One update on this warning in Guthrie, Oklahoma, the Luther area. We still have this warning for 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds. However, we'll keep an eye on this thing. It's kind of out here by itself, so I always keep an eye on these isolated storms because they could often intensify very quickly. Now, storms are out of Kansas City now. They're hanging out to the west of Omaha. I told you that if these tail-end Charlies could sustain themselves as they move to the north and east, we may skim the northern portion of Omaha. Now, we'll have to see if it actually hits or not, because right now it looks like it's going to go too far to the north, so it will probably miss Omaha. Do you have any significant local storm reports in here? Ping pong ball size hail out in Schuler, Nebraska. Richland. Got a golf ball size hail report here. Golf ball size hail in Richland. That's in Platte County, Nebraska. And there's your updates. Anything else for KC? KC was the last city with a significant severe thunderstorm warning, and it looks like we've seen this decrease as well to 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds and less than the size of a quarter size hail here. All right, before I hop off, what other questions do we have on this Monday evening? We've got reports of baseball-sized hail in Arcadia right now. Let's zoom into Arcadia. So that brings us back down into Oklahoma City, just to the north of Oklahoma City here. There's your hail core, just to the east of 35 and north of Luther. If we turn on correlation coefficient, what you're watching for is this area right here. It's probably like right behind me. Let's see. Let's see if we can grab this correlation coefficient. There we go. All right, we're looking for greens and blues in here. So do we see that large hail in this area? Yeah, I think that we could absolutely see some large hail. This hail marker that's popping up right here This is a hail marker, and that's for potential 3-inch size hail. So this is algorithm data. This is not confirmed at the surface. However, potential 3-inch size hail in this area in Arcadia, Oklahoma right now. We're absolutely getting hail from this storm. Let's take that hail marker off and let's look at our correlation coefficient. So what we want to see from correlation coefficient are some blues and greens mixed in for large hail. And we see those greens and oranges mixed in. So yeah, we could probably get some decent sized hailstones out of this storm right here, especially in this area right here. So again, this is to the north of Arcadia, to the east of 35, right in there, and it's actually moving to the north a little bit here. Let's get an update on this warning. So it's still warned for 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. This goes until 5:45, so we've got another 20 minutes on this storm here. It's moving to the north and northeast, outside of Oklahoma City at this time, and it is moving, let's see, it's got some high wind, 60, 65 mile an hour wind speeds. So again, it's not only that hail threat that we're dealing with here, but also that high wind. And I'm reading what the National Weather Service has to say about this storm. It's moving to the northeast at about 30 miles an hour. So it's not a fast mover. It's moving about what we would consider an average movement for a storm, but it's moving to the northeast at about 30 miles an hour. It's about normal. Again, out of the Oklahoma City metro, and we don't have anything warned, we don't have anything behind this storm. So we're in the clear here in Oklahoma City for a little bit, okay? We could still see a second round later on tonight, but we're in the clear for now. We've got that high wind farther off to the east, so we've got a significant wind potential and maybe even some large hail mixed into some of these isolated storms or some of these storms that have some stronger cores. We could see some larger hail. For the most part, this is a wind threat right in here and a potential tornado threat as well. And that's what we're seeing as we head farther off into the east side of Oklahoma, the northeast side of the state. We've still got that high wind and large hail threat here. And I'm really watching these storms that are north of I-70 over here. That are north of, let's see if we can get some bigger cities, Topeka, Manhattan. Because if these could be pushed east a little bit, this could be impacting KC later on tonight. So it's going to take a while for them to get to KC. And they're quite clustered at the moment. But it looks like we do have some of these storms that are forming farther down to the south. So we've got storms to the south of I-70, storms right along 335 and I-35 here. And so these are the storms that you're going to be wanting to watch for KC, because if they could make that slow but sure north and eastward movement, then they could be impacting KC later on tonight. So we'll have to see what happens there. We'll see if they can intensify over the next few hours. But that'll be your next storm system. KC, you are in the clear right now. So Kansas City, no more rain as of now. However, keep an eye on these storms back near Emporia, because those could be your next round of storms later on this evening. Another update for Des Moines, Iowa, saying we're getting a lot of hail right now. Is that right now? I assume that would be right now. Let's go up to Des Moines. Let's see what we can find out in Des Moines. Oh yeah, look at those storm reports. Got tons of local storm reports for a hailer out in Des Moines. Now, what are we talking about here? Is this a lot of hail or is this large hail? Let's take a look. Smaller than the size of a quarter. All right. A 1-inch size hail report out in Mitchellville. Altoona, less than the size of a quarter. Dime size hail out there. Dime size hail. Quarter size hail. And Norwalk, quarter size hail. So it looks like maybe you got a lot of hail in this area. However, Des Moines, your hail sizes were not terribly large. But thanks for the report. We appreciate the report. Hey, you guys, send your reports in to us over the next few days. We are going to be doing a competition over the next few days, sending and tagging us in hail reports. But we'll have more information on that on our Facebook and Twitter and other social media pages in the next few days. So just keep an eye on that. Alrighty. Anything else to report here? Now, is anything looking more impressive out in Omaha? Again, these storms, they may go to the north of you. There's a chance that they go to northern Omaha. However, I really do think that they could stay to the north of you here. As of right now, they're going to go into the northern side of Fremont, Little Sioux, and then if you go down to Omaha, you may just get maybe some rain. We'll have to see. Can these storms intensify down here as they make their way closer to Omaha? I think I put Omaha in that level 2 category to get storms today, so I would not be surprised if we get storms in Omaha. You're just going to need the right conditions to work with. You've got storms further down to the south, so there's a chance that as these move to the north and east, they could hit you. You've got another tornado warning down in the far southern side of Nebraska, northern side of Kansas right now. And that tornado warning for ping pong ball size hail that goes until 6:15 this evening. So that's the situation right now. Let's check in on Tulsa, because I know we have a lot of people from Tulsa watching. You're dry right now. I know that one of the big things that people are watching for tonight is that there's a lot of graduations going on across the U.S. tonight. It's that time of the year. I think that Jinx graduation is this evening, and people are wondering, is it going to get canceled because of the significant severe weather risk? So I know there's a lot of concern about that. Right now, this severe thunderstorm warning is only for quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. It's just to the east of Bixby, in between Bixby and Wagner right now, near the Inola area. And it's moving, let's see, this is quite clustered over here, so let's see what direction it's moving. It's moving to the northeast at about 55 miles an hour into the Locust Grove area. All right, we still have that severe thunderstorm warning that is looking quite impressive. It is now warned for significant large hail. Which means that, here, let's get some more information on this. Significant large hail. How large are we talking? Golf ball size hail in the northern side of Luther, on the east side of I-35 here. The severe thunderstorm warning goes until 5:45, and I want to get a look at these storm reports. What are these storm reports right here? Golf ball size hail in Seward. We've got another golf ball size hail report here. We must have two. We've got one that's ping pong ball size and maybe one that's golf ball size. And this was sent to the Emergency Operations Center in Edmond. And again, that's outside of Arcadia. So there's your reports right now. I think I've got some more reports coming in. We have some reports that have been sent to us, so let's pull those up right now. We appreciate you guys sending in your reports here. This was half-dollar size hail in Bixby, Oklahoma. So I'll show you that here in just a minute. Let me save this to my computer so that you can see it. Alrighty, let's show you guys some of this hail. That is out of Tulsa. Where's that Bixby hail? There it is. So here's the hail that came in from Bixby, Oklahoma earlier today. We always appreciate you guys sending us your weather pictures. So continue to send that to us because that really helps our process here. But what we're seeing here out of Bixby, Oklahoma is $half size hail, just right around or slightly larger than the size of a quarter. So that's what you see on the side of the screen right here. One thing that's really interesting about this picture that we see oftentimes, we see a lot of times with hailstones. Do you guys see that ring right there that's kind of highlighted in white where my mouse is, where the computer mouse is? Hail rings are very, very common, and what we see here is that this outer ring that's very clear, that's mainly just water, frozen water. It's your typical ice cube, right? But if you look at that ring right there, what that is it's a bunch of tiny little air particles that are caught within this hailstone, and that's why it makes it look like that milky white color. So that ring is tiny little air particles, air bubbles that have gotten caught in this ice storm, in this hailstone during formation. And so as it formed way up in the cloud, it got all these tiny little air bubbles caught in it. And that's why we often see hail rings inside of our hailstones. I like to call them like, you know, like a ring on a tree. Oops. You know, trees have rings on them, like the eye of a tree. Alrighty. Moving on here, let's show you a different picture. Oh, what are we doing here? There you go. There's another picture of that. This is a bit of a larger hailstone from Bixby, Oklahoma. So we appreciate you guys sending that in. That came into our email, but you can always DM us pictures or DM us pictures on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, any place that you can send us pictures, we appreciate. So send us your pictures, send us your hail pictures, any other storm photos that you have from the last few days and for the next few days. This is not the only picture that we got today. We got several pictures today, which we always appreciate. We also got pictures out from Tulsa, Oklahoma. So we got a lot of Tulsa pictures from Tulsa to Jinx and Bixby. We've gotten a lot of Tulsa pictures, so we appreciate you guys sending those in. There's another hailstone about the size of a quarter. That's what we expected out here. We got some larger hailstones out in Jinx, Oklahoma, but really Tulsa itself got some smaller hail like the size of a quarter, $half size hail in there. Alrighty, what other questions do I have before I jump off of here? Adam asking, what time does Fayetteville get hit? Let's take a look. Fayetteville, you guys have storms coming into the city right now. This is a significant severe thunderstorm warning, so that goes until 6:15. And why is it so significant? Not necessarily because of the hail potential, but really because of that high wind potential. We've got 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds and almost more than a quarter million people impacted by this severe thunderstorm warning right here. That includes Bella Vista, Bentonville, Rogers, and Springdale, Arkansas. But you can see that Fayetteville is just on the outside of this warning, so we will continue to see this track to the north and east and into Fayetteville within the next 30 minutes here. So in the next 30 minutes, you absolutely need to be weather aware in Fayetteville. You will probably have storms knocking on your doorstep. We have a tornado warning, 2 tornado warnings, so this will be an issue for the northwestern side of Arkansas. We've got a tornado warning for Bella Vista, Decatur, Sulphur Springs, Arkansas, and then we've got another one as we head farther down to the south here in Westville, just across the Oklahoma state line, technically in Oklahoma, but again, moving into Arkansas. That again, not terribly worried about the hail threat here, but the high wind and tornado threat is absolutely going to be an issue here. So Fayetteville, absolutely keep an eye on these storms that are coming into your area. They're not there yet, but let's put a storm track on this for you and get an exact timeline of storms that are coming into your area. The biggest hazard that you're going to see here are strong straight line winds, about 70 miles an hour. You could also see that tornado hazard in there as well. It's moving at a pretty decent speed, about 50 miles an hour to the northeast. So if we put a track on this here, moving to the northeast at about 50 miles an hour. Storms are coming into Mason Valley right now, Bella Vista by about 5:44, Rogers, Arkansas, 5:53, 5:58 in Lowell, Arkansas, I hope I'm saying that correctly, and 6:02 in Springdale, Arkansas. However, we did not get Fayetteville in this track here. Fayetteville storms. Let's draw this one more time so we can get a timeline for Fayetteville. Okay, 50 miles an hour. Aha, there we go. We got a timeline for Fayetteville now. 6:02 would be your time. So you've got about 20 minutes until storms come into the western side of Fayetteville. So there you go. That's your warnings that are going on right now. KC, out of the warnings. Springfield, Joplin, about to be included in that severe weather. Omaha, I'm still watching these storms for you. Omaha, you've got a severe thunderstorm warning straight to your west. So that's probably going to go to the north of you. You could have another one that's to the southwest of the city. Maybe this is the one to keep an eye on. If this could strengthen, it could come into the city, but you've got a while until it does that. So we're watching it. Any other significant storms to talk about at this moment? We, of course, have those significant severe thunderstorm warnings down in southeastern Oklahoma. High wind associated with this and even a reported tornado. Now this reported tornado is in the Kiowa area, Colgate and Kiowa area. Warned for 1-inch size hail, and this tornado warning goes until 5:45, and we did see a report of a tornado. That was at 5:26 in Wardville. And there's your updates. So no more storms right now up in Des Moines. You've got one severe thunderstorm warning to your north, and I think that this is warned for a quarter-size hail and 60 mile per hour, less than 60 mile per hour wind gusts. And that's your update. Any other questions? Anything headed towards Ardmore, Oklahoma? I think storms are to the east of Ardmore now, right? No, we've got storms right in Ardmore. Yeah, you guys are going to have ongoing storms for probably the next 30 to 45 minutes here. Ada, Ardmore, Durant, Holdenville. The biggest hazard in Ardmore will be 70 mile per hour wind speeds. Tons of people impacted by this. We have seen some large hail in this area earlier today. This hailstone report is for baseball-sized hail on the highway, on Highway 76, just south of 32, for Rubottom, I hope I'm saying that correctly, city that's in Love County. And again, that was about an hour ago, reported about an hour ago in the far southern portion of the state. Now, this area right here got some massive hail, and this is like the second or third time it's getting hit. It got some massive hail up to about 4.5 inches in size. Yes, you heard that correctly. 4.5-inch size hailstone down in this area. That looks like we could see some high wind and tornado potential once again in this area. Let's check this out. Yeah, we've got golf ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds. So this has definitely been an area that has just been hit over and over and over by some of the most significant storms that we've seen all day. The storm up in Guthrie, Oklahoma, still significant impacts here. Now I'm quite interested. What is this warning for? For golf ball size hail, and if you go up to the north into Perkins and Stillwater, you've got ping pong ball size hail. So this is a pretty significant storm from Perkins to Stillwater. Now, one thing that I do want to note about this storm right here is that we're seeing more widespread severe coverage from this storm that was really, really small down in Oklahoma City, but has definitely grown to cover more of a widespread area, a wider area here. If we continue to see this forming back to the south, which it looks like it is right now, right? We've got little storms going up in Chandler right now, then this will be Tulsa's next round for storms, okay? So it's in Stillwater right now, but if it continues to stretch down to the south and kind of unzip to the south here, then we are going to see this be the next round of storms for Tulsa in the next few hours as it continues to track your way. So this is the next thing to watch. If you're out in Tulsa, you're severe clear right now. However, this is the next round of storms to keep your eye on, because especially with some of these little, we call these like little blips in the radar, if this could continue to form and grow, this could be Tulsa's next issue. Matt asking, what is the time frame for those northern Texas storms to reach the Ardmore area? Let's see, we can kind of draw a little storm track for you. So I'm glad that you recognize that, Matt. I'm glad that you recognize that these storms back to the southwest could become Ardmore's problem here within the next little bit, right? So it's important not only to say, like, what are we getting now, but what could we get in the next few hours, which we've seen a lot of questions about that today, and I'm really glad that people are paying attention to that. Right now, they're warned for golf ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds. Now, coming from the National Weather Service, this is moving to the northeast at about 30 miles an hour. So they're not moving terribly quick here. If we draw a line, and then we go about 30 miles an hour, we don't even get Ardmore in this box here. We will see storms out near Lone Grove by about 6:12. So you've got probably about 45 minutes before these storms officially get to Ardmore. If we take a look at the distance between these storms right now to Ardmore, it's about 30 miles away. Now these storms are moving to the northeast at 30 miles an hour. So how long until these storms get to Ardmore? About an hour. So I would say between that 45-minute to hour time zone is whenever these storms out in Nakona could get to Ardmore. Great question, and I'm glad that we're looking ahead into the rest of the evening, because oftentimes we see one round of storms come through and then we get complacent and we think, well, the storms are over, but that is not often the case, especially in big setups like this. We don't want to get complacent. We want to keep an eye on all of these storms, which is why we were talking about some of those storms that could come into Tulsa later on. They could just go right up the turnpike there and make their way into Tulsa. Great. Yeah, and thank you for your question, Matt. We appreciate that. I'm just reading through some of your comments and some of your questions here. We appreciate you guys putting your questions in the comments section. That helps us. You know, one of the best things about doing a live stream like this is that we can have that conversation back and forth. Very similar to how you saw Matt and I just kind of talk back and forth saying, what do we think about here? What do we think about this location? So that's one of the best things about doing this type of live stream, is that I can talk to you guys just like you can communicate through the comments section with me as well. So just an update for Fayetteville here. Fayetteville, you've got a tornado on your doorstep, tornado warning on your doorstep here. So just outside your window to the west, you probably see those growing tall clouds. About 77,000 people impacted by this tornado warning that's in the Cave Springs, Springdale, and Wheeler area. So this warning goes until 6:30 this evening, so make sure that you are keeping an eye on this, Fayetteville. You could have a potential tornado threat within the next hour. Another check for Omaha shows that in a very similar concern that we had for Tulsa earlier, where we said if you watch these storms farther back to the west, and they continue to track down to the south, they continue to develop down to the south, this could be your issue later on tonight. And that's exactly what we're seeing in Omaha, where we do have these storms that are slowly unzipping down to the south. That means that they're forming, they're developing along this line down to the south. Now, they have not gone severe yet. However, it's something that you need to watch for over the next few hours. I do think that your hail potential in this area will slowly go down over the next few hours, but we still do have some significant storms in this line of storms, golf ball size hail up near the North Bend, Pebble, and Webster area. 60-mile-per-hour wind gust with this. We even have a tornado warning in this line of storms as well. So you still have a risk for storms out in Omaha this evening. It just may take a while for you guys to get your storms. In Kansas City, we told you that very, very similar. We needed to keep an eye on these storms that were kind of forming down to the south near Emporia, Kansas. We had just had this conversation. I said, watch for these storms that are going to form near Emporia, because that could be your next round of storms later on this evening, and that's exactly what's happening. Watch that cell right there, because in the next few hours, that could come into Kansas City. You just saw your first round of storms. There's your second round, and if they can sustain their strength as they track to the east, this may be your next high wind, tornado, and large hail threat. And I think I've answered all of your questions here, so I'm going to go ahead and jump off and get ready for that next round of storms. Now, we will be covering it as these storms come into Omaha, Tulsa, Kansas City. We are expecting more storms within the next few hours, so we'll be covering it. If they go severe, we will jump back on and make sure that you guys are aware of that storm threat. So make sure that you hit that follow button. We will have a noon forecast tomorrow as well. We start right around 12:15 every day. And every single weekday, we have a forecast telling you about the weather to expect that day. So join us tomorrow at noon, but hit that follow button. In the meantime, we'll most likely give you another radar update later on this evening.